Today's date is June the 26th, 2020. The time is 9:53 a.m. I'm Herman Hall. I'm a detective with the Department of Criminal Investigations, the Attorney General's Office. And we're conducting an interview with Summer Dickerson. And I'll just kind of go around the room to my left, starting on my left, and the people in the room will just introduce themselves to the recorder.
Alex Garcia.
Rewa Zakaria.
Barbara Whaley.
Summer Dickerson.
David Maurer.
Okay. And Summer, I'm going to ask you some questions involving the night of March the 12th leading into March the 13th.
Okay.
And I'm also going to ask you some neighborhood questions, so forth and so on.
Do you want her to move forward a little bit? Why don't she and I switch seats to make sure that...
It's up to you guys.
Yeah, I don't want to...
I can move it closer.
Cool.
Uh,
Give me my water, please.
Yeah.
Is your first name Summer?
Yes.
And that's just common spelling, S-U-M-M-E-R?
Yes.
Last name is Dickerson?
Yes.
D-I-C-K-E-R-S-O-N?
Dickerson, yes.
Okay. And what your address? Now, is that in the same complex as Breonna Taylor?
So the way it works is there's an apartment complex right here, and then mine's right here. The only thing that separates us is a fence. So I'm like, I say 4 apartments down from her.
Okay. And how long have you lived at this residence?
About almost 4 years.
And who lives at that residence with you?
My husband and my children.
Okay. And what's your husband's name?
Curtis Dickerson.
And your children's name? And on the night of March the 12th, was everybody in the apartment that night?
Yes.
So everyone was home?
Yes.
And again, I'm going to lead you right into the events that took place. Of course, we're talking about the Breonna Taylor incident and the shooting. Can you just kind of tell me your own words leading up to that, and then we'll just kind of go from there?
Yeah. So it was, and I'm only saying this because from what I was doing. It was when the Andy Bashir memes were going around being silly and funny, and so I was posted on Facebook.
Okay.
And my bedroom window was open, and which is directed towards Breonna's house.
Okay.
I sit there and I I said, all right, I'm done playing with y'all. As soon as I hit that post, I hear pop, and then I hear, and that's only, sorry, I don't mean to spit, but it was just a spray of bullets.
Okay.
And I heard my daughter scream because my daughter, we don't have bedtime in our house on the, when there's no school. And so she went downstairs. She said, right before all this happened, she said, Mommy, do you care if I make a sandwich? I said, yeah, that's fine. So as I'm upstairs, she's right below me in the kitchen, and I hear her scream, this bloody murder-like scream. She's only 11 years old, you know. And so I run down there, and I call 911, and I run downstairs. I'm checking her to make sure she's okay. And that's when you hear me telling her, come on, let's go, because I start hearing,
Let me stop you just a little bit, because I'm going to stop you periodically here.
That's fine.
Because I want to get a good basis of what you've seen. Now, you said upstairs. Is your apartment...
a townhouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and you said it's directly across the parking lot.
Yeah, like, say this was Breonna's apartment. Right, okay, here we go.
And we'll mark that just Exhibit 1 for some
Right,
for record.
so I'm right here.
Okay.
Her apartment building's here, and there's nothing but a fence. So I'm literally right where that fence is. We have like that big of a front yard.
Okay.
So I'm right there.
Yeah, if you don't care to mark that on
Yeah,
the map.
I live
where you live.
over here.
All right.
So my bedroom window and everything is right here.
So you're beyond the gate.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I said. The only thing that separates us is a gate.
I got you.
Yeah, she's right around in here somewhere because all the kids in the neighborhood play together.
Okay, but So your townhouse is not pictured?
No,
not
it's
in
not
this
picture in this. It's my townhouse is probably right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we were using a compass, that's going to be west of where the Breonna Taylor incident occurred. I mean, I believe this
I'm
is
assuming,
north,
yeah, because
south,
this is
east.
because this is the fence that they blew off, and so, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And you can hand that back over to
Okay.
her if you don't care. Now you mentioned that you were on Facebook, you know, just kind of posting some memes about Andy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just being silly.
Yeah, sure.
I love Andy, but
Oh,
just
right.
being silly or
Oh.
whatever. And so that's why I remember that, because I was being goofy that night, because everybody was being so in their self about politicians, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, you know, I like Andy, but I'm making the memes or whatever, and I was like lighting the mood up a little bit, you know, and I was like,
Right.
all right, I'm done playing with y'all. That post is still on my Facebook, and that was right when the shooting happened.
What's your Facebook under?
Summer Dickerson.
Okay.
Hey, gorgeous.
Hi.
They're doing the statement. I'll be out.
So you still got that on your post. Were you the only person awake at that time?
My husband was asleep. Me and my children were awake.
Okay. All
Yeah.
3 children were
Yeah.
awake? Were they in the room with you?
My daughter was downstairs making a sandwich,
Mm-hmm.
and then my son was in his room watching on his laptop, and my other daughter was in her room watching on her laptop.
Okay. So everybody was awake except your husband?
Yep, he was knocked out there
All right.
and could sleep through.
Okay. So what did you hear with the open window?
So that's when I hear the first pop. And
Just
I know,
One, hold it, just one pop?
yeah, it was like a pop. That was all I
Okay.
heard.
Did you,
And it was a gunshot. I know gunshots, and I'm assuming it was a handgun.
And how do you know gunshots?
I'm a carrier. I carry guns.
Okay. So you recognize that as being a gunshot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just
I know.
one pop.
I know gunshots very well. Yeah, that was a gunshot.
And then what'd you hear next?
Then it was like a sorry, I know I spit when I do that, but that's the only noise, because it sounded like a spray of bullets. That's when you hear me running downstairs checking, because I was checking my daughter.
Okay, let me stop you a 2nd
Mm-hmm.
From the time you heard the first gunshot to that barrage of gunfire, how much time between that?
Wasn't that much time at all. There wasn't that much difference. And I think it sounded like there was, which I later to find out, it might have been the SWAT truck that was blowing the fence off. What I thought was another round of gunshots, which you hear in the 911
Okay.
call, because I'm assuming that they're shooting again. Because all this takes place, right? I run downstairs, as you can hear on the 911 call.
Mm-hmm.
I check my daughter, because my daughter's upset, and I'm assuming she gets shot. I've been around guns my whole life, unfortunately, and I've had I'm a gun violence survivor. So I know what I thought was gunshots that second time when I'm like, they're shooting again. Later on, I found out that they blew our fence off after the shooting. So I'm assuming that might have been what the news was, or it was more gunshots, and I just didn't, you know what I mean? Like it was
So you didn't know if it was actually more gunfire or if it was a SWAT team, removing the gate or the fence?
That's what I thought at that time, in the thing. So when we get a little bit more out to the story, I'll be able to tell you where the SWAT truck I finally actually seen come into play.
Okay.
So inside my house, that's what I'm assuming. I'm upstairs, I grab my phone,
Mm-hmm.
I hear the first gunshot.
And that's
Then-
when you dial 911?
That's when I dial 911. Not a big deal in that neighborhood, because gunshots, people just go out there and shoot
I was about
their
to
guns.
ask you
Yeah.
questions.
But when I heard the second round of, because usually somebody will just shoot up in their air, like they're messing with their gun or whatever, and that's 4th of July. That's all the time in that neighborhood. So I didn't think nothing of it, but it was when I heard the second round of gunshots, which were bigger, and it was like spraying. That's when I was like, something's not right here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I called 911. You can hear me running downstairs. You can hear me grab my daughter. Then I'm assuming that it could have been the SWAT truck, because by that time I've done looked out the window.
Okay.
So I see the SWAT truck and them coming up. I thought the second round that I heard, because it seemed like there was not a second round, this would be the third round.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I'm assuming that it was like bullets or something, or bullets or SWAT truck or something, because I see out my daughter's, by this time I run up. And this is why if I had the live video, you could see all this.
Right.
I run up, I'm looking out. By that time, there's tons of cops on Springfield Drive. 911 operator, she's like, I'm getting my kids. I got them in the bathroom.
Right.
Because at this time, when I'm downstairs, I see like when you shoot a gun, it makes a light, especially when it's dark. So I see that. So that's why I assumed they were by my window, because you could see where I'm positioned.
Stop just a second. You say when you shoot a gun, you see a light. Are you talking about muzzle flash?
Yes.
Okay.
So where my apartment is, right? So like I would see more from behind her play. Like if I went out to my door, and you guys could come and I don't want you up in my house because the kids, I don't want to scare them. But you could come and sit like right where my front door is. I would see kind of this back here.
Okay.
So that would be like the backyard of Breonna's, all this. I could see this. So we get her upstairs. I get the kids in the room. That's when I'm still on the phone with the 911
In the bathroom.
call. Yeah, in the bathroom. I'm sorry. They're all scared. I hang up with 911. I immediately go Facebook Live, and so then I'm sitting out because it kind of slows down for a
Let
second.
me stop you just a second.
Go ahead.
So when you went into the upstairs bathroom, I believe you said that you saw a bunch of police cars at that point.
Right, because I put the kids,
Now, when you saw those police cars, how did you know they were police cars?
the red, white, blue lights.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so you recognize those as being police cars.
100%. I know what police cars are.
Let me back you up some more. You said you had your window open, and you heard this gunshot.
Right, and my window's different,
Yeah.
facing different than the window of my daughter's.
Sure. Before you heard the gunshot, did you notice any unusual traffic in and out of the parking lot?
Nothing. There was nothing out. I had just took my puppy out. Right before I went to go play on Facebook. I have a little puppy. Went and took her out. Didn't notice anything. Been out all day with the kids because the lady had said the cops have been out there all day. I didn't notice anything. I didn't see any cops.
What lady said the cops?
The 911. She said the cops have been there.
Oh, I got you. I
Yeah.
got you.
And so I hadn't seen nothing all day long. I'm very active in my community. I'm very active in my neighborhood.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't, and I mean, not to be funny, but like, I know what undercovers look like. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I know, you know, I didn't see, nothing caught me out of my way to where it was like, what's that car sitting over there for? Nothing all day
So
long.
when you took your puppy out,
Yeah,
it was dark.
it was dark.
Is this parking lot well lit?
Yeah, we actually have a street light that's right, goes up, and it brightens everything up.
So if you would have seen vehicles going in and out, you would have noticed them, or?
They wouldn't have been able to with the fence. That's why they blew it off.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So the fence was locked.
Right.
At that point.
But where I take her out, where I take my puppy out, I'm right here. So I didn't notice anything and now there have been officers over here, 100%. But where I'm at, from my view vantage, I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. Nothing looks out of the ordinary. It just looks like a regular night.
Sure.
And I keep an eye on things because unfortunately sometimes we'll have people sit in our parking lot or right around there getting high. And I'll usually chase them off because I'm like, we got kids here, get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? But nothing, from my viewpoint, at that point, I didn't see anything that was off or anything like that.
You didn't see anything like maybe a police operation was about
No.
to take place or anything?
Nope. All day long, I'm in and out of my neighborhood all day long. I'm very, very, very vigilant of what goes around.
Okay.
And I didn't notice anything.
So how much time, you say you took your pup out and you went upstairs to play on Facebook. How much time would you guess between taking the pup out and going upstairs?
10, 15 minutes.
All right.
10, 15,
So
yeah.
it wasn't immediately.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't that long. But again, from my point of view, I didn't see anything. I didn't. I've been in situations to where I've had my door knocked down and things like that. You know what I mean? I didn't hear.
In that neighborhood?
No. My
Okay.
life has changed a lot.
All right.
sweetie.
Well, I understand. Well,
My life has changed
I
a
just
lot.
want to get it clear, okay?
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm very clear.
yeah.
Again, I'm a human trafficking survivor. So I've been in
that's what
some
you
really
mentioned. Right.
crazy situations.
And we won't get into that.
No, we don't have
Let's
to.
don't-
That's not what that is about. But
Yeah.
my point being is I know what guns sound like. I know what getting your door kicked in sounds like.
Okay.
And I didn't hear any, from my point of view, from where I was sitting, I didn't hear any of that.
Right. And
Not
again-
saying it couldn't have happened.
And again, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought that was important to go back and
Yeah,
just kind of
that's fine.
capture those moments
Yep.
and stuff.
Just so y'all know, that gate, until this happened, was always
Yep.
locked. Because when I went and picked my nephew up there, I had to wind, you had to turn on up the hill, and you wind through the neighborhood, And it would have been a lot faster just to drive he lives right by the gate. So the gate to, what's that road on? Is it Arnoldtown Road?
Yeah, Arnoldtown
Arnoldtown Road, it's like 100 yards maybe, but
Right.
you have to wind through the neighborhood. Now, yesterday, the gate was open.
Yeah, they blew it off, and then the company fixed it, and then somebody came through and broke it again.
Is there another way into this complex?
And
After
for
dark?
Springfield, yes, not through the fence, because like he said,
What time do they lock that?
That fence is always locked. They always keep that fence locked. They always
My orientation is wrong here then, because I thought that was the gate going into the main complex, going into the main parking lot. I got you.
That looks like the gate that's always locked. And it looks like the townhouses are back there.
Okay.
Is that,
Unless you're doing it I don't know.
that way is Arnoldtown Road, correct? That way,
I couldn't tell you.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah. That gate,
This would be the
Yeah.
that gate until that night was ever since my nephew lived there, which was at least a
always
year
locked?
long.
It's always locked, yeah. Because
Wow.
DoorDash guys,
Always
I know
locked.
this sounds silly, I've seen DoorDash guys go and take the food and meet the people at the gate.
Right.
It's always locked.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong somewhere, but for a period of time after this happened, it was open for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It got fixed, but I drove through yesterday.
They messed it
It
up
was open.
again. I don't know who did it, but they did a bunch of cars went through one night or whatever, and and the apartment complex hasn't fixed it since then.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, again, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So
No, you're good.
we're in the bathroom with our kids,
Yep.
and just
I put the kids in the bathroom, and
and you're still on 911.
I'm still on 911.
Police cars are in the parking lot.
Yep. I start well, that's when I start hearing all the police car. I get off with 911. I walk into my daughter's room, and that's when I look out the window and I see the whole Springfield on my side, not her side, but my side, with tons of cops out there.
Okay.
So everything starts to calm down for a little bit. And I mean, I'm nosy. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I want to know what's
Sure.
going on, right?
Right.
So I don't hear anything for a second. So I'm like, okay, all the cops are here. For sure, it's safe to go outside. All the police are here now. That's just what I'm thinking, right? I don't know that there's all the shenanigans that went on that night at this point. I have no idea. I walk outside. My husband has a big Escalade truck, and I have a Equinox. And so I'm like, well, I'll stand between it, and if something happens, I should be all right. That's when I seen SWAT come in. And so that's when they were going, they looked like they maybe just blew the fence off right when I was coming out.
Okay.
That must have been what that third round of bang or noise was.
But you were not on the phone with the dispatcher,
I was not on the phone when that part happened.
Okay.
I was not on the phone with that part.
but you
happened.
were outside.
This is when I'm on the phone with the dispatcher. We have the one, then we have the round. I'm on the phone with the dispatcher. I wait for a little bit. I see all the police. Then I go outside.
Okay.
That's when I noticed, and that's when the third thing had happened. But then when I went outside, that's when the SWAT truck was going through.
I got
So
you.
that's when I'm assuming, because I can't see, obviously,
sure.
that's what that noise was. So it helped calm me down a little bit.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, okay, so they're going in, everything must be okay. I don't hear any of the shooting. So I'm standing out there for a little bit, and I know this is very irrelevant to the case, but I lost my kitten that night because she got out that night. This is going to help a little bit for the next day, part I'm going to tell you about. So as I'm standing there, I noticed one of the cops. He's like, hey, aren't you mom? We had just had a father-daughter dance.
Okay.
And the only reason I noticed him was because him and his daughter were matched up in suits and dresses and everything.
Sure.
And I walk up to him, and I'm like, hey, what happened? And he said, some drug dealing girl shot at the police. And I was like, are you sure? And this was all on my live, because I'm still alive at this point. And he was like, yeah, that's what happened.
What's the police officer's name?
I have no idea what his name is. He's a black officer. He's short, and his daughter. That was the first time I'd ever
His
seen
daughter
him.
goes to which school?
And the only thing, because when him and his daughter walked in, he had a suit on like you, and you know what I'm saying, his daughter was bachelor. I was like, oh, don't y'all look cute? That's what kind of got
Right.
me. And I'd never seen him before. And I didn't know he was an officer until he was there on the scene. And he said, aren't you mom? And I said, yeah, I'm mom. And so I was like, and I have a good relationship with most of the LMPD officers because of what I do now. So I walked up to him like I would any other officer, and I was like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, some drug dealing girl shot at an officer. And I was like, are you sure? I was like, damn, that's crazy. And that pretty much was the end of that.
But that was that night.
That was that night. That was the night of everything
You
that
know,
happened.
something I forgot to ask you. What time did this happen? Did it start, the shooting?
Oh, I'm assuming 12-ish, 1-ish, somewhere in there. I didn't look at a clock.
And that was on
so-
March the 13th?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see any ambulances or?
I did not from my scene. Not on my side of the street, I did not.
Okay. So you don't know if anyone was injured?
Don't know anything but except for what that officer said. A girl that was a drug dealing girl shot at an officer.
I got you.
And I was like, really? And I was like, okay, well, that happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just didn't think nothing of it. Went in. That's when I realized I lost my cat. I was like, damn it. Or no, I'm sorry. It wasn't until I went to bed. I woke up the next morning. I lost my cat.
Okay.
So me and the girls, my two girls, they were like, Mom, let's go look for Oreo. And I was like, all right. So we went walking around, and I walked. The fence is blown apart, obviously.
Sure.
It hadn't get fixed at that point. And so we're walking around. I walk around the whole apartment complex. I start noticing, I want to say they're almost like flashbacks, that they're canister-looking things or whatever. And police use them. I don't know exactly what they're called, but they look like this little canister thing. And I noticed that still laying there, and I was like, that's kind of odd. And I come around and I see, they're doing their investigation and things like that. And that's when my daughter looked, and she said, Mommy, that's Bree's apartment. I personally didn't know Breonna, but she mentored a lot of the children in our neighborhood, and so
Okay.
my kids knew who she was.
Okay.
And so I was like, what are you talking about, babe? And she was like, that's the lady that's always nice to all of us, Mommy. And of course, then my kids were crying and upset.
Sure.
And that was pretty much it.
Okay.
We went back into the apartment because, it would traumatize my kids seeing her apartment shot up the way it was. And that was about it from that day.
All right. You say you didn't know Breonna,
I personally did not know Breonna.
but your kids did.
But my kids did, yes.
Did you know anyone else that lived in that apartment?
No.
So you've not had any conversations with
Nope.
anyone that lived in Breonna's apartment?
No, not until the protests and stuff like that, all us getting together just...
And you mentioned earlier that it's common for gunfire in the parking lot at this complex.
Yeah, where I live at. But this obviously had to do with this case.
Sure, I know. Yeah. Well, what I'm getting at, it's not uncommon, like on the weekends, to hear gunfire or on a special occasion.
I just heard it the other night and posted on my Facebook. I was like, it's killing my PTSD.
I got you.
Somebody was shooting again.
I got you. So since you've lived there for 4 years, how do you get your mail at that apartment?
It comes straight to my little thing sitting outside my townhouse.
So you've got a box outside the door.
Yep.
There's not like a central.
Nope. Goes straight to my house.
Are all those apartments like that? They got,
I don't
deliveries
know
made straight
about
to
these
them?
apartments. Again, I don't live in these apartments. I live right where the townhouse
Okay.
is, and so I can only speak on
That's
my townhouse.
fine. And I won't ask you to make up anything, and please don't give
Yeah,
me an
no, I
answer
won't,
just to
don't
give
worry.
me an answer. Yeah, I can tell. So, anyways, if someone was to deliver you a package at your apartment, how would you receive that package?
For mine, it would sit right on my doorsteps to my house. We
And-
have two entries. We have a front entry, that's what we call the front entry, which is facing towards Breonna's house.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the back entry.
Is that a breezeway that goes? You mentioned a back entry. Oh, you're talking
My
about
house.
your door. Okay.
Yeah, my house.
I got
So
you.
they would, and like when you come into the park, if you come from Arnoldtown Road and you come up, my townhouses are literally all the way in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And you would pull into the Amazon or whoever, because my husband likes to order Amazon a lot. And they sit the packages right on the stoop. We have 3 little stoops, and so they take a picture of it and they let us know that it's there.
Do you ever accept packages? Well, let me back up a minute. What's the common carrier to deliver packages to that complex?
For where I live at, again, I live in a different complex, so I don't know what goes on back here.
Well, I'm
but
asking
where
on
I
your
live at,
complex.
Amazon, just wherever Wish, we order believe it or not, my husband has an online shopping addiction.
So you mentioned Amazon, and I've noticed Amazon has their own delivery trucks now. So Amazon will actually deliver
Yeah, they
From their
deliver.
trucks?
Mhm.
I got you.
Yep, we got Prime. So we
Does
get
Wish
a lot.
have their own delivery truck?
It usually comes through like I say because we order off of Wish, but it usually comes through like Amazon or not Amazon, like in the little white packages.
Okay, but will FedEx, UPS, or?
Yeah, all of them will deliver, or they'll leave a sticker on my door stating that I can go pick it up at the
Do you see delivery trucks in that neighborhood very often?
where I am. Sometimes I usually leave out between 9 in the morning, and I'm usually home till about 5, 6. So sometimes I see them, but sometimes I don't.
I got you. All right. Does anyone in your townhouse complex, if you're not home, do they accept a package for you? Is that common?
We've had actually, people have accidentally had their package delivered to my house, and I'll write,
accident.
and say, hey,
Yeah,
girl, here's your
and that
package
happens
or
by
whatever.
accident.
Every now and then, but
Okay.
no, normally we get our own packages.
And you mentioned earlier about people get high in the parking lot and stuff. And
Yeah,
and
I mean,
you run
it's
them off. And,
it's not, it happens.
okay.
Four Haven's right there, so, we all know, well, you all may not, but anybody that's from Louisville knows that Four Haven is a hot spot for that kind of stuff.
I don't. I mean, I'm not from Louisville. Not
Yeah.
very familiar with
I will
it.
tell you this: since COVID, especially, Amazon trucks in Louisville are everywhere.
Yeah, they are. We
You
get-
can't
we-
drive down the street without seeing an Amazon
Yeah.
truck. They
Yeah.
are, and they drive the little like van-looking things.
The gray
they don't
ones?
have the big box trucks. They have the gray vans.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw a couple UPS sized trucks yesterday. Amazon.
Oh, really?
I'm like,
The bigger
that's
ones?
crazy.
Okay.
Big
Yeah,
ones.
yeah. I think a lot of people are ordering offline a lot
Oh,
more,
yeah.
especially since all this is
Yeah.
going on. But yeah,
Right.
I mean, it's an apartment complex. Do you see packages or do you see delivery trucks?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. You know what I mean? Do you see the post office delivering stuff? Sure. I mean, nothing normal, nothing that would be like, that's odd. You know what I mean?
Since you live there, do you see a big police presence in that area?
Not really. To be honest with you, no.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I'm asking for honesty. Have you ever seen the police execute a search warrant in this area?
There was some people that lived in, now, not this side, so we go to the front of my apartment. There's
Okay.
an apartment building that's right there. They've executed a warrant there before, once or twice.
And what time did they execute those warrants?
Usually, it'd be like in the early morning, not when it's dark, but like 7, 8 in the morning. I've seen that
So
happen.
it's always been early morning
Yeah.
that you've seen it?
Yep.
Summer, are you talking about on Fort Haven?
I'm talking about actually on Springfield Drive.
Okay.
Like right in front of me. I've seen them do that, and usually it'll be. Sometimes it might be like an eviction warrant, or I don't know what kind of warrant, But they'll do. I'll see the sheriffs out there early in the morning.
But
No.
you recognize them being the police because they're in a marked car when they do that? Is that?
Let me break, if you don't mind. Our sheriffs in Jefferson County drive kind of yellowish, brownish cars, and there's in that area there's a lot of service of papers. And she mentioned that there's a
Oh,
lot
right,
of evictions back in there. Our sheriffs serve our eviction papers. They serve the original summons and complaint, and they also would serve like a set-out order, which happens back in there occasionally. And then the sheriffs would also serve like subpoenas. Sometimes they serve bench warrants that issue out of our courts. The police, if it's a search warrant, it's going to be usually LMPD or maybe a state police task force or whatever. But the cars I think she's talking about
Yeah, the
is
brown ones are
Jefferson County
sheriffs.
Sheriff.
Oh,
That's-
okay.
Yeah.
So you've not seen the LMPD or the Kentucky State Police come in there and stay for an extended period?
No, they'll come. I mean, somebody might call them because somebody gets in a fight or something
okay.
like that. They might come down. But as far as anybody serving any type of papers, it's always been the sheriffs that I see it.
Oh, okay.
And they
All right.
drive like the big brown cars, and it says sheriff right on there.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to get that cleared up, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I think that's. You guys got anything?
I do. Let's go back to when you were up on Facebook,
Yes, ma'am.
and you said your bedroom window was open.
Yes, it's always open.
While you were sitting there on Facebook, or before then, how long had you been sitting there, you think?
I went down and took my dog out for the night or whatever. Came back in, and then I don't know, maybe five minutes before I started hearing everything. Yeah, I was sitting there playing around, just posting a bunch of silly memes. I said, all right, I'm done playing with y'all. And then I posted that, and as soon as I hit post, that's when I heard that first gunshot.
Did you hear any noises before that first call?
Nothing. Not when I was outside walking the puppy. I didn't see anything that was out of, to where I'd be like, oh shit, they can bust a door, somebody's door in or anything nothing like that.
And then you heard the pop,
Mm-hmm.
and then you called it spray of bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much quickly after the first pop.
Yes.
Was a lot of bullets that second
It
spray?
sounded like a lot of bullets. And that's the only way, that just long, for first, I can't tell you how many minutes exactly, but it was definitely not normal. That kind of stuff doesn't happen there. You might have somebody go outside with their handgun and pop off in the air, you know what I mean, just because it's I don't know why people do that, it's stupid, but they do that.
Like I
You know
said.
what I mean? But that was not, it was not the same thing.
But when you heard the first pop is when you called 911.
Yeah.
So you were still punching in 911 when the spray
As it was
started?
spraying, yes.
And do you know how long the spray lasted?
I couldn't, no. To give you an exact time, no, I don't. It's a pretty traumatic situation.
And then you ran downstairs,
Mm-hmm.
still on 911 call,
Mm-hmm.
and got your daughter, still on 911 when you got in the bathroom.
Well, I put the kids in the bathroom, yes.
Kids put in the bathroom. And then, when did you hear the third?
As you can hear it when I'm on the phone with the 911 call lady, because that's when I decide to take my kid upstairs.
And how many, you said it could have been the SWAT truck or shots. How many was that?
To be honest with you, I can't tell you that it was, I'm not going to give you a number of shots because I have no idea.
Okay. But at that point, where were you?
When I was on the 911, we were running up the stairs. You can hear that on the 911
Yeah.
call where I'm going upstairs.
Okay, that's all.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead, Alex.
Prior to that third
Mm-hmm.
situation where it might be shots, might be SWAT, you said you looked out and you had seen I think you used the word a ton of police.
Yeah, there was because if you go after I put the kids in the bathroom, which where my room, it's my room's here, bathroom's here, son's room's here, daughter's room's here. So we come straight upstairs. You can hear me, on the 911 call going upstairs. I put them in there because my kids are crying, they're scared, and that's when I looked out the window. Or I get off the lady with the 911. I hang up. Let me make sure because I know every little detail matters.
Well, I'm talking about why you're on the 911 call. You're on the 911 call and you hear the third noise, the shots or SWAT.
That's when
team.
I run upstairs and put the kids in the bathroom.
Prior to that third noise or shots, did you see police?
No,
Okay.
I didn't. That's why I said somebody's outside my apartment shooting. She said the police have been there, and I was like, honestly thought, I said, well then you need to send more, because something's not going right. But I guess I didn't say that. But in my head, I thought that's what I said. But yeah, and it was so I get the kids in the bathroom. I get off the phone with 911 call. I immediately go Facebook Live because we go live on every single thing, and that's what we do, and so. And that's when I see all the police officers.
Okay, and this might. Can you describe that third noise? You said it sounds like shots, but now you think
It was
might be-
it sounded like a huge explosion. So that's why I wasn't for sure if it was like gunshots or what it was. But then when I went out, like I said, I went out because I'm nosy, and I'm like. That's when I seen that the SWAT truck was kind of going through. Did not see no ambulance. I seen cop cars. So if this is my street, right? All cop cars lined up and down, all the way down the street. And that's when I was like, well, they're here, so let me go downstairs. And so I go downstairs because I'm thinking, everything's cool.
Yeah.
The people to protect and serve are here.
So that huge explosion sound was different than the spray bullets you heard the first.
That was different than the spray bullets. So that's why I said I assumed once I walked outside and I seen the SWAT truck going through, then that's what I assumed that was. because after that, I didn't hear any more shootings. There was no more bullets. There was no more. I felt comfortable enough to seeing, I'm standing in my parking lot, and that's when I see the officer. I wish I knew his name that I could
That's
tell you
okay.
guys.
That's all right.
But that's when, I was like, what happened? And he was like, a drug dealing girl shot a cop. And I was like, really? Because, I don't know. I was just like, really? And all that is on my Facebook Live. But we cannot find my Facebook Live anywhere.
Okay.
So I don't know what some of your all's high-tech things that you got going on. Who knows? But, yeah.
They're laughing about that because they really don't have any high tech.
I don't know.
Anything else? Do you want to tell me anything that I forgot to ask you?
Nothing. I just hope that this family gets the justice they need.
Okay.
And that's it.
No
You
more
know.
details. I mean, you got my number and stuff. If you think of something, David's got it.
Right.
We can just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I mean, that was, from
Okay.
my point of view, I'm pretty much,
Hey.
as far as that night goes,
Sure.
that's what.
Sure. Okay, that concludes this interview at 10:28.